what is going on? Spencer back for an absolute banger of a video today. It is finally time for the Q&A. I've got my laptop right here. We're just gonna hop right into this because this is gonna be a long video. You guys asked a lot of very, very good questions. So I picked my favorites and I am just gonna read them out right now and answer as best as I can. So let's get it started. After the string of bad health luck during your year with Brooks and the seemingly good form and good spirits you are enjoying being coached by Pops, would you be inclined to accept a similar contract to the Brooks contract if another pro team came offering right now or in the future? I probably wouldn't be down to sign a contract right now. I'm really enjoying being coached by my dad, and in the future I would definitely not be against signing with another shoe sponsor or sponsor, but one where I have individualized coaching where I can be coached by my dad. I really do think that being coached by my dad long term is the future for me. Did your form come natural to you or did you have to work on it? So for me, I think I've always had pretty good form. I started running when I was a very young kid, which definitely helped. Even now to this day, my form isn't perfect, but it's pretty good. I do remember doing one thing though. Junior year of high school, I went on the treadmill every day in the winter and set a metronome to 180 beats per minute and ran to that cadence. Apparently that is good for you, so that is my advice on that. Is racing a marathon something you're interested in doing in the future? It's definitely something I'm interested in doing in the future, but not for the foreseeable future. I would say don't get your hopes up of me running a marathon for at least, I don't know, 6-7 more years. How much longer are you planning on staying in Seattle, and where do you think you'll move to next? This is another really good question. I honestly don't know how long I'm going to be in Seattle. I'm really enjoying it right now, but I'm in good spirits, I'm healthy, I'm running well. I have a lot of friends here, my girlfriend lives here. So I like it a lot right now, so I don't see any reason why I would leave. And you just don't know. I mean, I really like Boulder, Colorado, so I would move there at some point, maybe. But I think I like Seattle right now as a home base. I think it's a really good training location. And then maybe I'd like to go to Boulder for a couple months of the year or some warm area like Arizona for some warm months of the year. What were the biggest pros and cons of running under a professional contract compared to running independently? So that's a good question. I'd say the biggest pros are having a team. I ran with some of the best runners in the US, which was really awesome, and you just have that team camaraderie. I'd say a huge con would be just the lack of freedom to create content that I'd like to create. That was definitely something that I didn't like, being under a team contract. If running doesn't pan out, what other careers have you thought about? Coaching, business, content, etc. Thanks. So, funny you ask. My dad is starting a coaching program. You can DM me for more details on that. I've mentioned that in previous videos. But if running doesn't pan out for me, which I think I've got a bunch of years left to know if it will or will not. I do have a master's degree in sports industry management, so sports agency type thing would be sort of interesting to me. I have an undergrad in psychology, so you know, you can't do much with that right now, but you never know. I think at the same time I may want to go back to school and pursue a master's in something else. But for now, I'm really enjoying being able to live off of my YouTube channel and my semi-pro running career. What is the running and coaching history of Keith? So that's a good question. If you want that question answered, go watch the Sub 4 story, episode 1. I talk about my dad's running history. I'll give it to you short though. He's a 2:18 marathoner. His big claim to fame was beating Bill Rogers in the marathon one time. And I think he was ranked 3rd for the US one year. But we ended up boycotting the Olympics that year, so he did not have a chance to run in the Olympics. His coaching career as well, he coaches me, obviously. He coached me when I was a kid all the way to the end of high school, and he coaches people at our high school and nearby high schools in our hometown area. He also coaches adults on the side. How's the baby doing? I know it's hard on him with all the changes recently. Yeah, the baby's doing well. Glad to see you're a real one. This is a good question. Is TAS Running making a comeback? Will there be more shorts released? So TAS Running ended because of my Brooks contract. I think it was fairly obvious that's why we stopped doing it. I had a lot of fun doing it for the short period of time, but I did learn a lot of valuable things with it, such that if I want to do business full time and pursue, you know, a real career in trying to create a sports apparel industry, I need to put a lot more time into it. So I don't see TAS Running coming back for a long time, not until I feel like I'm more mature and ready for it. But we had a lot of fun when we did it for a bit, so if you didn't get shorts, I'm sorry. How do you go about finding track races to get into now that you're training independently instead of with the beast? This is a good question because I'm kind of struggling with that right now. I'm trying to race a 3K in about 3 weekends, and I had my dad email the meet director, and you know, that's just how it goes. I'm just like anyone else at this point. You kind of just have to look for meets online and hope that you can get into them with the times you've run. And yeah, that's about it. It's definitely something I took for granted while I was in college and while I was on the beast. Your schedule is kind of mapped out for you. And I also don't have an agent, so my dad is kind of acting as my agent as well. What would be an accomplishment in a pro field that signals that you have made it? So for me, I think the first big I've made it would be making another US meet. In 2019, I made the US meet for the 1500. I ran 3:39 and that got me in. I ended up not racing it because I decided to just train for cross country that summer instead of race. So I never really got to race an outdoor US meet. And I think that if I could get an auto qualifier time to race at this year's USA, I would feel like I made it as a pro. When you're training / running so much, do you see an effect on your libido? So basically like sex drive type stuff. I've never done crazy mileage. I have friends like Ari and Randy who say when they were at UVA running 90, 100 mile weeks, they were just like, dead all the time. So I've never had just any, you know, fatigue like that, but I only do up to about 70 miles as of now. What is some advice for a person struggling with setbacks in running? I would just say talk to your family, talk to your friends, try to stay relaxed and not obsess over, you know, being upset about an injury or a setback. At the end of the day, you will come back healthy at some point, and time is the only element that's in your way. So just accept that time is going to have to go by before you can kind of get back. A good question, do you still do gym work while training under your dad? A lot of you are going to be a little disappointed with this, and the answer is no. I am not currently lifting right now. I do ankle weights and I do ankle mobility work, and that's it. And my reason for it is that I spent so much time last year trying to do everything right. You know, like when you go out of college and you're at that next level, you kind of want to just do everything all at once. And this is going to have been my third coaching change in 2 years, from college to pro to now my dad. So like, we just want to get the first stuff right. You know, we'll slowly integrate lifting in at some point, but right now we do not feel comfortable stepping into that boundary where we don't know what we're talking about so much. Danny Mackey had a great lifting program, but I truly do think I was doing a lot of the lifting wrong. There wasn't enough oversight on what I was doing, and that wasn't their fault at all. I wasn't asking enough questions about it. So I think I formed some imbalances that, you know, just didn't need to happen. And I truly do think lifting can be an amazing positive, but at the same time, if you do not go in there with intention, it's kind of not going to benefit you. So for now, I'm not doing any lifting stuff, but I've definitely talked to some people and I'm planning on doing it in the future. But like I said, I need to be doing training well right now. I need to hit my workouts. I need to hit my mileage well. I need to be getting rested and not getting hurt and overkill. So that's why I'm not lifting. What would be the most optimal result running wise in the next 2 years for your running career? Well, the Olympics is in 3 years, so technically the Olympics, making that is a pipe dream for sure, but that would be optimal technically. But other than that, I think just like, you know, making a US meet this year, making a semi or a final in the next few years, and running like 335, 336 would be awesome. Currently, I'm a 339 guy, and I also love to run significantly under 4 minutes in the mile, and then also just get stronger in the 5K type stuff, and really just become like a pro runner that whether or not I had a YouTube channel, people would respect me as a pro runner. What shoes did you miss the most while being a Brooks athlete? That's a good question. I think for me, it was the Nike Structure 22 or 21. I loved wearing the Nike Structure in college. It was my favorite stability shoe. Kept me healthy the whole time I was in college. How was your experience in the NCAA being an influencer, and what were the pros and cons of your experience at Georgetown? I loved vlogging at Georgetown. It was so much fun. I had such a good relationship with my teammates and my coach, and like I was the older guy at practice, so I could kind of put the camera on the young guys, embarrass people a little bit at times, and just have fun with it. And I truly think that was the most fun time for my YouTube channel because I kind of got a lot bigger that time. And yeah, I had a blast filming in college. Do you have any time goals for the upcoming races you will be doing? So the only race I technically have on the schedule right now, hopefully if I get into it, is a 3K at UW. I think it's the Husky Classic. My PR is 8:11, so nothing fancy or crazy, and I want to run 8:0s, something in the 8:0s. A PR would be great. Other than that, I want to run low 8s. I was always puzzled why the training from your previous coach got one of your teammates an Olympic medal, but even with the bad luck you had, it never seemed to really click for you, unlike in recent months. Was it bad luck or something else? So I feel like what people want me to do is just shit on Danny Mackey and his coaching, but he really is an amazing coach, and this is where, in my opinion, it all didn't work out. Just time. If I had been given 3 years, 4 years to work with Danny, I think that we would be incredibly successful as an athlete-coach duo. Josh Kerr has been working with Danny for 4 years. And in fact, every single guy on the team had been with Danny for at least 3 years. I was the only new guy on the team, and they all have been with Danny for at least 3 years. So when you're getting into a program, it's very normal that you're gonna get hurt. It's just that my contract wasn't that long. So it was kind of, unless everything went perfect, things were gonna look pretty tough. And it ended up I rolled the dice and it didn't work out. But that's sort of why I think Josh was so successful and I was such a failure with Brooks. So it's nothing other than the fact that it just takes a while to get used to a new coach's regimen, and I just wasn't with Danny for as long as I needed to be. Would you consider signing with Brooks again, or is there another team you'd like to run for if it works out? As of now, I probably don't think I would sign with Brooks again. I don't see why I would go back to them if we already parted ways, so I don't think, unless something crazy happened, that I would ever go back to Brooks as a brand. And yeah, I mean, I'm open for talking to other shoe brands, but for now, like I said, I would like to kind of have some consistency with my dad and see where that takes me as well. What kind of times were you running freshman year in high school, and how did those times progress throughout high school? All right, this is a great answer for you. Watch the Sub 4 story. It's probably the best series I've ever put on YouTube. People in the comments will tell you that right now. The Sub 4 story, just look it up on YouTube. I literally talk about my entire high school come up, so you will get the answers from my 3rd grade mile time all the way up until current. So watch the Sub 4 story to get all of the answers about all of my PRs and progression. How do you find the time to train like you do but also make enough money to provide for yourself? Do you have a job? Do your parents support you? I'm honestly just curious. Yeah, that's a good question. It's a fair question. So, I mean, I obviously had a contract through Brooks, so that used to be some of my revenue stream. But now I make money through YouTube ad revenue, and then a few of my supplemental sponsorships. So my parents aren't paying for me to live or anything like that. I make my own money, I get by. I'm not a millionaire or anything like that. Basically, in a roundabout way, YouTube is my job, and I have some running sponsors as well, and it helps pay the bills. What is the secret to finding a running girlfriend? I don't know, man. Just be nice, be yourself. That's about it. All right, the big question that everyone asks, probably the most asked question in this. What did the Brooks contract pay you annually? Guys, unfortunately, I am not allowed to legally respond to that question, but what I can do for you is give you a range from what I have seen as a professional athlete in that space of the general pro contract. So a pro contract for, I would say 80% of pros, yeah, about 80% of pros ranges from about $30,000 to $80,000. And if you're like a top dog, you could be making over 100,000 or significantly more than that. So in my experience, a pro contract salary ranges from about 30 to 80K. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. It was a long-winded one again. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you have questions about Keith Brown coaching, please DM me at The Athlete Special. We're gonna send out a questionnaire later this week to people who are interested in a full-time coaching program. I have a banger workout tomorrow. I'm doing 16 by 400, so get ready for that video. It's gonna be a fun one. Again, guys, thanks for watching the video. We'll see you soon.